Too many relationships fail, not because the love isn't there, but because the right conversations were never had. Communication is the foundation of any strong and lasting relationship. If you want to build something real, something healthy, you have to be willing to have honest, open, and sometimes uncomfortable conversations with your partner. A lot of women assume that men don't like to talk about emotions, but that's not true. The problem is that many men have never been given a safe space to express themselves without being judged, shut down, or misunderstood. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is assuming they are on the same page without actually having a conversation about it. A strong connection and great chemistry are not enough if both people have different expectations about where the relationship is headed. It is important to talk openly about intentions early on to avoid misunderstandings and heartbreak down the road. When a woman invests her time, energy, and emotions into a man, she needs to know that they share the same vision for the future. Some men date with the intention of finding a lifelong partner, while others are simply enjoying the moment with no real plans for commitment. If a woman assumes that just because things feel good now, they will naturally progress into something serious, she could end up wasting years in a relationship that was never meant to last. A man's words and actions should align with his intentions. If he says he wants a long-term relationship but avoids conversations about the future, it may be a sign that he is not being honest with himself or with his partner. Asking direct yet respectful questions about where he sees the relationship going is not being too much or too demanding. It is about seeking clarity and making informed decisions. Some women avoid these conversations because they fear pushing a man away, but the right man will appreciate honesty and transparency. Knowing where he stands allows a woman to decide if she wants to move forward with him or if she is better off walking away. It is always better to know the truth up front than to invest years in a relationship only to realize that both people had completely different expectations from the start. Every person experiences love differently, and what makes one feel valued may not have the same effect on another. This is why understanding emotional needs and love languages is essential for a healthy relationship. A woman may express love through words of affirmation, thinking that constant reassurance will make her partner feel secure. But if his love language is acts of service, he may not fully receive her gestures in the way she intends. When partners fail to recognize and honor each other's emotional needs, misunderstandings arise, leading to feelings of neglect or frustration. A man may not always verbalize what he needs emotionally, either because he has never been given the space to do so or because he has never taken the time to understand it himself. Many men are conditioned to suppress emotions, believing that vulnerability is a sign of weakness. This makes it even more important to create a safe space for open and honest conversations about what makes him feel supported, appreciated, and loved. Encouraging him to express his needs without judgment allows the relationship to deepen, strengthening the emotional bond between both partners. It is equally important for a woman to communicate her own emotional needs. Too often, women give love in the way they wish to receive it, assuming that their partner will naturally do the same. But without clear communication, this can lead to unmet expectations and resentment. Expressing what feels fulfilling in a relationship is not being needy, it is setting the foundation for true emotional intimacy. When both partners take the time to understand and actively meet each other's needs, love is no longer just something that is felt, but something that is consistently demonstrated in meaningful ways. Every person carries experiences from their past that shape how they navigate relationships. Whether it's childhood experiences, past heartbreaks, or unresolved traumas, these wounds can influence emotional responses, communication styles, and even the ability to trust. Ignoring these wounds does not make them disappear. Instead, they often manifest in ways that create tension and misunderstanding in a relationship. This is why it is essential to have open and honest conversations about past wounds and emotional triggers. A man who has been betrayed in a previous relationship may struggle with trust, even if his current partner has done nothing to warrant suspicion. If he has experienced emotional neglect growing up, he may have difficulty expressing his feelings or being vulnerable. Without awareness of these patterns, they can lead to conflict, misinterpretation, or emotional distance. But when both partners take the time to understand each other's emotional history, it creates an opportunity for healing and growth. Creating a safe space for these conversations requires patience and understanding. Many men have been taught to suppress their emotions, so opening up about past wounds may not come easily. Instead of pressuring him to talk, it's important to approach the conversation with empathy and a genuine desire to understand his experiences. Likewise, a woman should also be willing to share her own emotional struggles so that both partners can recognize how past pain may influence present behaviors. Unhealed wounds do not have to dictate the success of a relationship, but they do need to be acknowledged. When both individuals are aware of each other's triggers, they can navigate challenges with more compassion, respond to conflict with greater understanding, and build a relationship based on trust rather than fear. Disagreements are inevitable in any relationship, but how a couple handles conflict determines whether their bond grows stronger or weakens over time. Many relationships fail not because of the arguments themselves, but because of unhealthy ways of resolving them. Some people shut down and avoid the conversation altogether, while others lash out in frustration. Without effective communication, small misunderstandings can turn into deep resentments, creating distance instead of resolution. It is important to talk about how each person processes conflict and what they need during difficult moments. Some men have been taught to suppress their emotions, leading them to withdraw or become defensive when faced with confrontation. Others may have grown up in environments where arguments were aggressive or unproductive, shaping how they respond to tension in relationships. If a woman does not understand how her partner handles conflict, she may misinterpret his reactions, assuming he does not care when, in reality, he may not know how to communicate his emotions effectively. Approaching conflict with respect, patience, and a solution-oriented mindset is key. Instead of focusing on being right, both partners should focus on understanding each other's perspectives. This means listening without interrupting, validating each other's feelings, and avoiding toxic behaviors like blame, sarcasm, or shutting down. Setting boundaries around conflicts, such as taking breaks when emotions are high or agreeing never to say things out of anger that cannot be taken back, can help keep disagreements from escalating into something damaging. A healthy relationship does not mean never arguing. It means learning how to argue in a way that leads to growth and resolution. When a couple can openly discuss their approaches to conflict and work together to find balance, they create a foundation of mutual understanding and emotional safety. Every person has their own sense of individuality, and maintaining personal space and boundaries is essential for a healthy relationship. While love naturally brings two people closer, it is important to ensure that neither partner loses themselves in the process. When boundaries are not clearly established, it can lead to feelings of suffocation, resentment, or an unhealthy level of dependency. A man may need time alone to recharge, focus on personal goals, or engage in activities that bring him fulfillment outside of the relationship. If a woman interprets this as him pulling away or losing interest, it can create unnecessary tension. The truth is, maintaining independence within a relationship is not a sign of disconnection. It is a necessary part of sustaining long-term attraction and emotional balance. Similarly, a woman should feel comfortable setting her own boundaries, ensuring that her needs and personal time are respected. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear that doing so will push their partner away. But a healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, where both individuals feel safe expressing their needs without guilt or fear of rejection. Whether it's about personal space, social interactions, or emotional availability, having an open discussion about what makes each partner feel comfortable ensures that both people can thrive within the relationship. Respecting boundaries also prevents unnecessary conflicts. When expectations are clear, neither partner feels neglected or overwhelmed. It allows each person to bring the best version of themselves to the relationship rather than feeling drained or pressured to always be available. Creating this balance strengthens the connection, making the time spent together more meaningful and fulfilling. Money is one of the leading causes of stress in relationships, not because financial struggles are unavoidable, but because many couples fail to have honest conversations about finances early on. Every person has a different perspective on money based on their upbringing, experiences, and personal beliefs. Some people view money as security, while others see it as a tool for enjoyment. Without alignment on financial values, spending habits, and long-term goals, money can become a source of tension rather than a resource for building a future together. A man's financial mindset affects how he handles savings, investments, and expenses within the relationship. Some men are natural providers who take pride in taking financial responsibility, while others believe in splitting expenses equally. If a woman assumes that he will handle finances a certain way without discussing it, misunderstandings and unmet expectations can arise. Instead of avoiding the topic, both partners should be open about their financial outlook and ensure that their values align. It is also important to discuss financial boundaries. If one partner is a spender and the other is a saver, conflicts can arise if there is no clear agreement on managing money. Talking about how finances will be handled in the relationship, whether it involves budgeting, joint accounts, or long-term financial planning, prevents problems before they start. Debt, credit, and financial responsibilities should also be addressed. Many people avoid these conversations because they feel uncomfortable. But transparency in finances is just as important as transparency in emotion. Knowing where each person stands financially allows for better decision making and future planning. Money should not be a source of division in a relationship. Instead, it should be a tool for creating security, freedom, and shared success. Physical attraction is important, but true intimacy goes far beyond just the physical. Many relationships start off strong because of passion and chemistry, but over time, if emotional and mental connection are not nurtured, the relationship can begin to feel shallow or disconnected. A healthy relationship requires consistent effort to maintain intimacy in all aspects emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. For some men, intimacy is not just about physical touch, it is about feeling understood, supported, and valued. If a woman assumes that affection alone is enough to keep the connection alive, she may overlook other ways her partner needs to feel close. Deep conversations, shared experiences, laughter, and emotional vulnerability all contribute to lasting intimacy. When a man feels safe opening up, when he knows he's being heard without judgment, that is when true connection is formed. Over time, routine and responsibilities can make couples fall into patterns where they stop prioritizing each other. Life gets busy, and without intentional effort, the emotional bond can weaken. It is important to have regular check-ins about what makes both partners feel connected and how they can continue to grow together. Sometimes intimacy looks like having deep discussions about dreams and fears. Other times, it looks like doing something spontaneous together, breaking away from the monotony of everyday life. Both partners should feel comfortable expressing what intimacy means to them and what makes them feel the most connected. If these conversations do not happen, assumptions take over, leading to unmet needs and unspoken frustrations. When intimacy is nurtured on multiple levels, the relationship remains exciting, fulfilling, and emotionally rich, ensuring that the bond stays strong even as time passes. Family dynamics play a significant role in shaping a person's beliefs, behaviors, and expectations in relationships. The way someone was raised, the environment they grew up in, and the relationships they witnessed all contribute to how they approach love, commitment, and communication. Without discussing these influences, partners may struggle to understand each other's perspectives, leading to unnecessary misunderstandings and conflicts. A man who grew up in a household where love was not openly expressed may struggle with vulnerability or emotional intimacy. If he was raised in a family where conflicts were avoided, he may have difficulty addressing issues head on. On the other hand, if he witnessed toxic relationship patterns, he may unknowingly repeat certain behaviors without realizing their impact. Understanding his background helps to make sense of his emotional responses and communication style, allowing for more patience and understanding. It is equally important for a woman to share her own family experiences and how they have shaped her views on relationships. If she comes from a family where independence was highly valued, she may struggle with traditional relationship roles. If she witnessed unstable relationships growing up, she may carry fears of abandonment or trust issues. When both partners openly discuss their upbringings, they can identify patterns that need to be unlearned and work together to create a relationship dynamic that is healthy and fulfilling. These conversations also help in understanding each other's views on family involvement. Some people come from families that are very close-knit, where parents and siblings play a major role in decision making. Others have more distant relationships with their families and prefer to keep romantic relationships separate. Discussing boundaries and expectations around family involvement prevents future conflicts and ensures both partners feel respected and comfortable with how family influences the relationship. Growth is an essential part of any successful relationship, both individually and as a couple. When two people come together, they should not only complement each other, but also support each other's journey toward becoming the best version of themselves. A relationship should not feel like a place of stagnation where dreams and ambitions are put on hold. Instead, it should be a space where both partners feel encouraged to pursue their goals while growing together emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. A man who has personal aspirations, whether in his career, personal development, or passions, needs a partner who understands and respects his journey. If a woman discourages his growth out of fear that it will create distance or change the dynamic of their relationship, it can lead to resentment. The same applies to a woman who has her own goals and ambitions. She should never feel like she has to shrink herself to make a man feel more comfortable. Instead, both partners should uplift and inspire each other, finding ways to support their individual growth without losing the bond they share. These conversations should involve discussions about future plans, personal dreams, and what success looks like for each person. Understanding where each partner sees themselves in 5 or 10 years allows both to align their visions and ensure they are moving in the same direction. If one person is focused on career growth and travel, while the other desires a more settled lifestyle, these differences need to be addressed early on to avoid future conflicts. Encouraging each other's growth also means being honest about challenges and holding each other accountable in a loving way. A relationship should not feel like an obligation, but rather a partnership where both people feel empowered to chase their dreams while building something meaningful together. Every successful relationship is built on a shared vision for the future. Love and attraction are important, but if two people do not have aligned goals, values, and lifestyle preferences, it can create long-term challenges. This is why it is crucial to have open conversations about what both partners want in life and how they see their relationship evolving. When these discussions are avoided, couples may find themselves drifting apart due to unspoken differences in priorities and expectations. A man may have specific goals for his career, family, and personal development, and it is important to understand how those align with his partner's aspirations. If he envisions traveling the world while she prefers a stable home life, or if he values financial security while she prioritizes experiences over savings, these differences need to be addressed early on. Avoiding these conversations does not make the differences disappear. It only delays the realization that both people may not be working toward the same future. A woman should also feel comfortable expressing her vision for the relationship, whether it is marriage, children, career plans, or even lifestyle choices. Both partners need to ensure that they are building something they both genuinely want. It is not about forcing someone to change their vision, but about making sure they are compatible in the long run. Having these discussions also strengthens commitment. When both partners are clear about their future together, they are more likely to support each other's goals and make decisions that align with their shared vision. It eliminates confusion, prevents unnecessary sacrifices, and allows both individuals to move forward with confidence, knowing that they are creating a life together that is fulfilling and meaningful for both of them. These conversations are not one-time discussions. They are ongoing, evolving, and necessary for a relationship that is built to last. If you want something real, something that can withstand challenges, you have to be willing to talk about the things that matter. Not just when problems arise, but consistently, with the intention of understanding, growing, and building something that truly lasts.